Fiong, I think Executive Braddock was having trouble coming on. I'm not sure if she's on yet.
Oh, she's not on yet. 1 second, Member Brown.
Hello, everyone. I apologize. I was having technical difficulties. Good afternoon. I will be chairing our meeting today, and I will call this September meeting of the King County Regional Homelessness Authority's Governing Board to order. And I want to thank the Seattle Public Library for hosting the in-person location today. We begin every meeting by grounding ourselves in our theory of change, which states, if we create a homelessness response system that centers people with lived experience of homelessness, then we will be able to respond to needs and eliminate inequities in order to end homelessness for all. And next, we have our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that King County is located on the unceded traditional land of the Coast Salish peoples. We honor this land and its people, past and present, and we are committed to directing funding and resources to organizations led by and in support of Native and Indigenous people. Affiong, if you could please call roll.
Certainly, Chair. Chair Braddock?
Here.
Member Barone?
Here.
Member Balducci?
Here.
Member Aviva?
Here.
Member Juarez?
Here.
Member Nelson?
Present.
Member Harrell?
Here.
Member Bracken? Member
Here.
Bracken?
Here.
Member Burney? Member Prince?
Here.
Member Backus?
Here.
And Member Hay?
I'm here.
Chair, we have quorum with 11 members.
Wonderful. Thank you, Affiong. And I want to take a quick moment to welcome Board Member Juarez. Happy to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we will, before we actually begin with the rest of the agenda, do we have any amendments to make to the agenda? I am not seeing any. All right, so let's proceed. Next is our consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda: the July 2025 Governing Board meeting minutes, the August 15th, 2025 Governing Board meeting minutes, the August 27th, 2025 Governing Board meeting minutes, and Resolution 2025-09, which would authorize negotiation of an amendment to the property agreement with the City of Seattle and related actions. Is there a motion to approve these items?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Barone, seconded by Prince. Thank you. The motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda has passed. Our next item is public comment. So if you are at the library in person, please sign up to comment with Affiong. And if you are providing comment via Zoom, please raise your hand now and you will be called in the order received. Each commenter will be able to speak for 2 minutes. Commenters will hear a bell when they have 30 seconds left, and virtual commenters will be muted when their time is up. Public comment will be open for 15 minutes or until no others would like to speak, whichever is sooner. And we do ask public commenters to please keep your comments related to items within the board's purview. Afyang, will you please open public comment?
Certainly, board. For in person, our first public commenter is Tim. Tim, whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Tim and I am an active participant at the Central District Nicholsville. I am the current head of security in the leadership positions. I'm speaking in strong support today of our resolution 2025-09, the Brighton Village on Rainier Avenue South. We've been in the works since 2023. I've been involved the entire time. I believe the community understands the amount of additional shelter that's needed in these trying times we're facing. This isn't just about buildings and permits, it's about saving lives. Since we started this program, more than 800 people have died while living unsheltered in just the Seattle area. Nicholsville has worked in good faith with both city and county this entire time to resolve this and get our village going, and it's stalling. Please allow me to thank you for joining us today and for your support and voting yes and adding the Brighton Village to the master lease agreement so we can finally get that ball rolling and save some lives. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Matthew.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. My name is Matthew and I am a participant in Nicholsville Central District Village. I am here today because I know firsthand how urgent the need for shelter is. As recently as this week, I was sleeping on cardboard at this very library. Which is not a whole lot of fun. We are asking you to vote yes on resolution 2025-09 so that Brighton Village at 7110 Rainier Avenue South can finally open. Since this project began, as Tim previously stated, since 2023, more than 800 people have died without shelter as a direct result. Behind each number is a person, someone's family, someone's friend, brothers and sisters. Nicholsville has done everything asked of us to make this project possible. Now we need your help. Please pass resolution 2025-09 and give the people a chance to live with dignity and safety. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next is Andre.
Good afternoon, my name is Andre, and I serve as kitchen coordinator at Nicholsville Central District Village. I'm here because lives are at stake. We urge you to vote yes on resolution 2025-09. Nicholsville has been ready since 2023 to open Brighton Village at 7110 Rainier Avenue South. Yet delays have cost lives. Over 800 unsheltered people have died since this project began. Every day without action means more lives lost. We've done everything the city and county have asked of us. Please help us save lives and passing resolution 2025-09. Thank you.
Thank you. And last in person is Danica.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Danica. I am an active participant, arbitrator, and bookkeeper at Nicholsville Central District Village. I urge you to vote yes on resolution 2025-09. Nicholsville has been ready to open Brighton Village at 7110 Rainier Avenue since 2023. That's a long time. In that amount of time, you've heard 800 people have died that didn't have to. We have done everything on our side that we can do, going above and beyond. Now we ask you to act before more people have to die senselessly. Dignity and safety must come before red tape. Now we ask you to please pass resolution 2025-09 so Brighton Village can finally open. Thank you for your time. We hope to have your support on this very important issue.
Thank you. And now moving on to online comment. first online comment from Ben Mathewson. Ben, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. I would actually like to allow Tony Machacha to go first, if that's permittable.
No, Ben, can you please go first?
Certainly. Members of the governing board, thank you for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of my colleagues at KCRHA. These are the people who show up each day, regardless of the difficulty, to fulfill our shared commitment to significantly reducing homelessness in our greater community. We know that you take each decision seriously, and we are committed to supporting your stated mission in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible. As an Army leader who for more than 10 years led troops in and out of combat, I understand the need to balance resources in the service of the mission, but I also understand the value of skilled people who are committed to that mission. For this reason, we don't mind the fact that more than 11% of our annual spend on payroll goes to just 5 people within our agency. We understand the burden of leadership and the economic realities of this region better than most, because we workers live in that precarity. Our members make just $105,000 on average, with more than half making less than $100,000, and that's well below median income. That means that we allocate more than 30% of our incomes to housing. We understand that this money is both a public trust and a finite resource, but we also understand that our experiences, our expertise, our energy, our commitment to the mission are precious resources. We center on lived experiences because we embody them. We don't have to struggle to identify with people who are experiencing homelessness because many of us have that shared experience. So we ask, as you consider our proposals, especially our proposal for housing stipends upon layoffs, that you consider your commitment to center those with lived experience. We ask that you consider whether a total cost of no more than $150,000 to provide up to 3 months of housing subsidy for up to 20% of our total workforce is a small price to pay for that continued level of high performance and motivation. After all, despite budget uncertainty and a hiring freeze, we have seen positions hired whose annual compensations are much higher than this amount, which demonstrates not only that the funds exist, but are being approved for use. We ask that you walk the talk of equity, that you truly center lived experiences, including ours, and that you show your deep commitment to fostering a high-functioning homelessness response system by ensuring that we who do the work also know that we have some protection from uncertainty under our leaders. We do not want to repeat the past by callously laying people off, only to have them appear in the system once again.
Thank you, Ben.
Oh, and excuse me. Thank you, Ben. I do want to flag, Ben, that you are in the presenter and governing board member link. And I would ask that, thank you for your comments, but if you could join the public link, I would appreciate it. Thank you. Go ahead, Afian. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to speak, we have Elizabeth Malpen. Elizabeth, you've just been unmuted. Elizabeth? Moving on. Oh. Elizabeth, we can't hear you. Oh, okay, yes.
You can?
You can hear you now. You've been unmuted. Yeah.
All right, thank you. I had the experience of being homeless in East King County for about 2.5 years. I survived. 300 people died in King County this year while unhoused. And I just recently read from the National Alliance to End Homelessness that providers can only house 8% of our unhoused neighbors. That's a national statistic. So unless you know where to find billions of dollars for a permanent housing, as long as we can't do that, we really need encampments. I am so glad that you are considering giving the lease on the Brighton Village site at 7110 Rainier Avenue to Nicholsville. We need this. We need so much more. People who are on the streets really need some kind of temporary housing, whether it's safe parking lots, whether it's Quonset huts, tiny house villages. Please, we need permanent housing, but if we can't afford permanent housing fast enough, let's keep people alive with temporary encampments. And ShareWheel has done a really good job of managing encampments and having communities welcome them back over and over again. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next, we have John. John, you've been unmuted. Oh, you're about to be unmuted. You've now been unmuted.
Good afternoon, governing committee members and CEO Kinnison. My name is John Grant. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for the Low Income Housing Institute. And first of all, I would just like to thank all the hardworking staff at KCRHA and the elected leaders here for your leadership on addressing homelessness in our community. I'm here to speak on resolution number 2025-10. We think that this is a very interesting resolution and is worthy of support. We do have just some comments and possible improvements to the resolution. The resolution is focused on supporting municipalities to identify municipally owned land for siting, tiny house villages, micro shelters, and similar homelessness programs. We think that that's great. We would like to expand the scope so that it's not just municipally owned properties. We have found that there are many different types of government-owned land that could be utilized, such as land from Port of Seattle, WashDOT, railway lands, Sound Transit, King County Metro, General Services Administration land. And so we encourage to expand the scope of what types of government lands could be included in this land banking effort and research. So we would just make a friendly suggestion to this very interesting and great idea to try to survey what publicly owned lands are out there, to include administrative agencies and other government-owned lands to give us more options and opportunities to cite these very important and essential programs in our community. So again, very appreciative of this conversation and investigation into how we can improve and expand those services in locations where we can have tiny house villages in our community. Thank you so much for your leadership and discussion on this issue.
Thank you, John. We have one more person, I believe, who is trying to rejoin the meeting to provide public comment. One second, board. They're not in this meeting, so I believe that we can go ahead and go to our next item, Chair. If you would close the public comment.
Thank you very much, Affion. Yes, if you would please close public comment.
Okay, public comment is now closed.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have our monthly CEO report from Dr. Kelly Kinnison. Go ahead, Kelly.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Braddock. Good afternoon, everyone, especially our new member, Juarez. I wanted to start by highlighting some really good news. My team was honored at LifeWire's World of Gala, which was held on September 13th. Every year, LifeWire presents an award, the Norm Mailing Award, to an individual or organization that's helped make significant strides for survivors of domestic violence. And this year I was pleased to accept that on behalf of my amazing team. We were recognized as a champion for the families that LifeWire serves. And because of our partnership with LifeWire, tens of thousands of domestic violence victims have found safety, stability, and healing through their programs and services. Next, just another great highlight from the month, KCRHA, the City of Seattle, and Downtown Emergency Service Center had the pleasure of meeting elected officials, government staff, and homelessness providers from Salt Lake City on September 17th. They are very interested in a regional approach and very interested in learning from the few regional models that exist in the country. And so we were able to share with them lessons learned, considerations, trade-offs, and really promote the idea that regionalism can bring us forward. They're really thinking about that in their city-county relationships as well. So we'll continue to be a support to them as they have questions and think about moving that model forward. In terms of funding update, starting with federal funding, we are waiting on further direction from the court. We have processed all of our 2024 grant agreements from HUD for our COC funds. Our general counsels for all of the parties are coordinating well, and we will keep you informed as we hear any developments. HUD also recently issued a HUD builds NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunity. This was one-time funding that we do not currently receive, and it's capital funds. We learned that there is a temporary injunction against HUD that prevents them from issuing funds under this NOFO because it contained some of the provisions that are subject to the ongoing lawsuit. And so KCRHA and our county partners have not applied for this funding. There was some very extenuating circumstances around how it was released and when responses were required. And so we will keep the governing board aware of new developments for that notice of funding announcement. And of course, the notice of funding announcement that we need to apply for the monies that we typically get from our HUD partners, which we have not received as of 4:30 p.m. today. Although we expect it at any time, and really appreciate the ongoing coordination with the city of Seattle and county on being really prepared to make the strongest application possible for our community. In terms of local budget, in case folks don't know, Mayor Harrell and Executive Braddock, thank you for your proposals that continue to invest in the emergency homelessness response system. And thank you to our city and county council members who are also board members who will soon be taking up this very challenging work for 2026 and into 2027. Mayor Harrell's proposed budget includes $169 million for homelessness and $125 million plus for KCRHA managed funds. It includes provisions that will increase provider wages, the 2.6 inflationary increase, and an additional ongoing 2% wage increase, and make some new major investments. We saw a proposed $7.8 million investment for 305 new non-congregate service enhanced beds, which could be used outside of the city as well, and reserves to offset potential cuts in federal funding, which we're very appreciative of that conversation. Executive Braddock's proposed budget provides $82.2 million for KCRHA in 26 and 27. It includes $11 million in one-time funding to maintain our shelter services in our communities. And those were previously funded by ARPA dollars that expired in 2025. So very grateful that the county is proposing to make sure that that shelter system is stable and those providers can continue to provide services. It also provides general funds for to provide $3 million to preserve shelter and $2.6 million to nonprofits that are losing federal funding for youth and young adult homelessness prevention, shelters, transitional and supportive housing, a much needed influx into our youth and young adult space. And finally, we have $3.2 million directed toward the new Federal Way Red Lion Emergency Shelter. And that would bring online an additional 81 beds in December of 2025. So that's great news for our community and our providers. Not to be a downer, but I will say that KCRHA's funding levels are still, challenging to make sure that balance of provider support and services is met. We really appreciate the conversations we've had with board members and council members. We'll continue to work closely with you to make sure that KCRHA is set up appropriately for accountability and results for our community. And that's it for this month. Thank you, Chair Braddock.
Thank you, CEO Kinnison. Do any board members have any follow-up questions? Kinnison? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we are now going to move into executive session to discuss matters related to RCW 42.30.110, subsections F and I, As noted on the agenda, potential action may follow in open session following this closed session. As presiding officer, I am announcing that we are slated to be in executive session for, I'm going to say 18 minutes to 5:15. If the executive session is to be extended beyond that time, I will announce the extension and the expected duration. Executive session begins now. Governing board members, please leave this call and join the Teams link that Affiong provided and has put in the chat. Thank you.
Is this the old one or the new one? Is this executive session or the old one? This is the old one, still, right?
It's, yes, Member Harold, this is the old
Okay, okay, I got it.
link. Councilmember Juarez, do you see the link in your chat, your Zoom chat? I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sorry.
Let's wait for Deborah.
Thank you, Lord. I did it.
Chair Braddock, we have quorums. We can continue on with the meeting.
Thank you very much. I want to start by, well, we are back from executive sessions. So our next order of business is a staffing discussion. And I want to start by saying that as board members of KCRHA, we take allegations of wrongdoing with the utmost seriousness. We have no tolerance for discrimination, harassment, or retaliation. In May, the board became aware of concerns related to an executive team management meeting that did include CEO Kelly Kinnison. 4 complaints were then filed against the CEO, and at that time, the governing board created a special personnel committee. The committee included 1 representative from the city, 1 from the county and Sound Cities, and 1 person with lived experience. The governing board and the special personnel committee received legal support and assistance from KCRHA outside legal counsel, Sophia Mabey and Brenda Bannon. KCRHA's external legal counsel subsequently retained Catherine Haggard of Haggard and Ganson LLP to further assist. Since these complaints were brought forward in May, we have discussed this issue as a board at 4 separate governing board meetings during executive session, in addition to the meeting we are currently having. While this matter was under legal review, KCRHA approved a contract to hire Stacy Lewis, an executive coach, and the governing board hired Stacy to assist KCRHA with an organizational assessment and provide executive coaching to CEO Kinnison. Stacy is working directly with the KCRHA leadership team through a collaborative process to identify strengths, opportunities, and recommendations for both the board and the organization. I want to note that this contract was approved while the review was ongoing. We take this process seriously. At the August 27th meeting, the Personnel Committee recommended that CEO Kinnison receive a letter reminding her of the organization's policy on retaliation. The letter would also instruct her to complete specific training and retain her executive coach for the remainder of the year. We are ready to move forward as an organization and continue focusing on our commitment to connecting more people with housing and services. This work is vital, and it requires a CEO who can lead with integrity and earn the trust of the community and employees. As co-chairs and with the Personnel Committee, we believe CEO Kinnison is capable of guiding this organization with those qualities. So I will ask Board Member Prince from the Personnel Committee to please make a motion approving the next steps and letter to file.
Madam Chair, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
Okay, the ayes have it. So that will be, we will take those next steps and put the letter to file.
Madam Chair.
And then I was going to recognize now Board Member Barone. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to share the reasons that I voted no on the motion. I'm trying to balance the importance of maintaining confidentiality when it comes to personnel matters while ensuring that the public can understand actions we're taking publicly. I do want to make clear that I agree with the Personnel Committee's assessment that disciplinary action is warranted. However, I believe further action is warranted and respectfully disagree with the recommended disciplinary action in this motion. And it's for that reason that I voted no on the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Barone. Anyone else before we move on in our agenda? Okay, oh, Board Member Nelson?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Dr. Kinnison for the work that she has done. She did come on at a time of great transition and you know, it was a lot of problems to deal with. So I just wanted that noted. And I also I hear and accept and respect Board Member Barone's no vote. I still have questions that we can take offline about confidentiality and privileged access, because it seems that you had information that none of us had. So you know, the nature of that information can change one's thinking about this process, and perhaps someday I can understand that better. That's it.
Thank you, Board Member Nelson. Anyone else? All right. The next item on our agenda is led by Co-Chair Harrell, related to the KCRHA Regional Funding and Services. So, Mr. Harrell, I pass it to you.
Thank you very much. By now, all of you might have seen the September 5th letter that sort of described what at least I think we need to accomplish together. And let me just say, just 1 second here, my notes are all over the place here. But I want to say very loudly and clearly, I think everyone that's participating in a KCRHA are doing exactly what they signed up to do. I think that they are both showing a commitment and a devotion and the skill set necessary to really move the needle on homelessness. And so any of my remarks publicly or in this conversation is not meant to in any way minimize the great efforts that I'm seeing from everybody. And I hope that I've had conversations with all of you to convey that point. Okay. So what we need to do, however, given our new structure, that there's no longer an implementation board and we are the governing body, that I think we have to have some real comprehensive discussions on what regionalism really looks like. We have to set our goals. We have to look at our budgets. We have to look at our resources. We realize that homelessness in the country is going up, and we realize these are very challenging times. So in the letter that I sent to CEO Kinnison, it asks some very simple questions. Do we have the right services in the right places to meet our county's needs? What are the options for a unified regional approach to make sure that we're working on this collectively? As mentioned, our City of Seattle's budget in total, we have about $225 million for homelessness, a goodly portion of that going to the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. And again, I don't want to suggest that other cities have the resources that the city does. I fully understand you do not in terms of dollars. But the question then becomes, what do other regions have that can be of assistance and are willing to put in the mix, so to speak? So in short, this is not meant to argue or discuss or negotiate right now. I just wanted to sort of let all of you know that I'm hoping working with all of you online and offline, always complying with the Open Public Meetings Act. I want to start having some really intense discussions on what regionalism looks like. At our retreat, I think we started that conversation, and now it's really time we decide what it looks like. And again, I'll close by how I started, and that is, this is not in any way criticizing anything anyone's done. We've been in this work now for several years together, and I look forward to continuing this work. So that's the point of the letter. And again, I'm hoping at the next meeting, sometime in October, we could continue this discussion. And it won't even end there, of course. It's the beginning of many discussions on what regionalism looks like. End of my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Does anybody have any questions? The letter. I did want to check, CEO Kinnison, I am interested in knowing if you feel that at the next meeting, you will be prepared and able, based on the request of the letter, to provide a high-level update or briefing in that space.
We will be, Chair Braddock.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, well then, next, we also have Co-Chair Harold to introduce a resolution related to regional temporary shelter siting policy. Member Harold.
Thanks again. So this resolution, again, is not up for a vote today. And to be very candid with my colleagues, even if we're not ready to vote for it at the next meeting, this is an example of what I just said. So we've, in the city of Seattle, you know, we've had a tiny home policy in terms of what that looks like. Access to services as an example, access to transit as an example, the duration of a tiny home, for example. We've had some policies in place for some time that we think are working effectively. We work with the communities to make sure they understand that if done right, these are really good neighbors in neighborhoods. But you know, that's Seattle's policy. I don't know the policies in a lot of your jurisdictions. But again, if we are to be regional, we have to figure out what our regional policy is. So this resolution sort of talks about, is this a policy we all can accept? I fully understand that, particularly for the mayors on the call, that you want to take this back and decide with your other bodies whether this is a policy that you have to agree with. So if in fact you're not in a position to vote on it in the next couple of weeks at our next meeting, I think that's fair. That's a fair discussion. I want you to look at it, kick it around. We don't have to do it on this particular call. I just wanted to get it to you for a discussion. We can do it on this call, but I would remind all of you that it is Friday and it's 5:30. I don't have anything to do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Maybe some of you do. But I want to get this discussion on what a temporary shelter siting policy. I wanted to address a point that Mr. Grant said in his public comments, and that is, we're talking about looking at an inventory of municipally owned properties. But certainly other types of properties should be examined as well. Perhaps we could start with those lands that we sort of control or influence directly as a start. And of course, we can expand it to churches as an example, or other types of areas that the city of Seattle uses. So we wanted to start something that's very achievable in our respective jurisdictions with the policy, and then we could expand that as we see fit to meet. At the end of the day, it's trying to meet the needs of our unsheltered neighbors. And so again, there's the policy. Kick the tires a little bit, and hopefully we'll be in a position to vote on it in the near future. End of speech.
Thank you, Board Member Harrell. I agree that I think the October next meeting would be a good opportunity, as we've had time to review, to take up this resolution. But does anybody have any questions right now or want to try to move the resolution now? Not the chair's recommendation. Board Member Nelson.
I just wanted to thank Mayor Harrell for putting this forward. I am asked by constituents about everybody's contribution to the regional's approach to this regional problem. So I do want to just sort of second that. I appreciate the discussion going forward.
Thank you. Board Member Backus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do agree that we need to have a regional approach. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a member of this board. However, I think there are a lot of different things that could be looked at regionally. And I think one of those could be an inventory of what other cities are currently doing. I think that is an enlightenment that everyone should have an opportunity to have, because I know sometimes there is misinformation out there and a thought that cities outside, and I know Seattle is doing quite a bit, and I commend you for that and for the leadership in doing that. However, I think sometimes there is misinformation that other cities are not doing anything, and I know that that's not the truth. And I think it would be great for this organization to have that understanding, so that we do have commonality, we have common talking points, and when that topic comes up, we have facts and data to back up our comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Backus. Board Member Juarez.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me in my first time here, and I'm so glad I figured out the tech stuff. And thank you for those of you that texted to say I'll help you if you need it. I too want to thank Mayor Harrell, and I just want to go back in the time machine here. Back in 2019, when we created the King County Regional Housing Authority, then Mayor Harrell was Council President Harrell. And we had different structures that we were moving around. And I think I've said this once before, and I'll say it again. We had a different idea how we thought it should be structured, but we didn't have the votes. But anyway, here we are today. And I really, really want to thank Mayor Bacchus, because I think that's the best idea I've heard in so long. If we had an inventory about everyone's contribution, participation, and just not even, I mean, of course, the money part, but also the facilities part, all of that, that's the criticism we hear the most is Seattle's putting in all this money. And I remember when we were doing this, putting this together back in 19, and smaller cities were passing ordinances against camping and against homelessness, and dug in their heels that they did not want to join the King County Regional Housing Authority, because I originally wanted to be a PDA. So I think that's a great idea, Mayor, both mayors. I think we have to get back to the origins of what we were thinking of, the spirit and intent when we created the King County Regional Housing Authority. Because I think we've gotten away from that, not you guys, but just in general about we're all in it together, particularly with this administration and what the mayor's doing and trying to backfill our budget with homelessness and what we're trying to accomplish. And so thank you, Mayor Bacchus. I think that's an excellent idea. And it would be wonderful to be able to put that in our newsletters and share with our constituents that it isn't just a Seattle problem, and it isn't just Seattle participating. It isn't just Seattle, even though we are giving the most money, isn't just Seattle paying for everything. And I think some of our regional leaders within King County need to hear that, quite frankly. Thank you.
Thank you. And Board Member Harrell.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm closing the discussion or not. I wanted also to say to Mayor Bacchus, I apologize to her offline because she was mad at me. No, I'm just gonna because some of the coverage sort of suggested that in some way someone could have read. I know the great work that Auburn's doing, right? Because of my relationship with Mayor Bacchus. But I don't know what some of the other jurisdictions are doing, and we could learn from them as well. And so that's why I wanted the siding policy, because you may look at that and you may improve it. And so what I'm asking Dr. Kennison to do is, as you work with these different jurisdictions, perhaps offline, there could be some presentations and some best practice that we could collectively learn from. You know, I think many of you are aware that we've expressed an interest in actually paying for land in other jurisdictions outside of the city to the extent we can shelter people. We are a county organization. If they are unhoused in the county, we don't care, where it's going to be, as long as we're putting them in housing, shelter, and getting them on with their life to be stable in their life. So best practices we could learn from all of you. So let's just take advantage of it. This is going to be fun work. This is why we signed up for this work, to learn from each other, put resources in, put policies in place. And so thank you. And Dr. Kennison, thank you for stepping up. And you just let us know the pace with which you could do this. But we're going to push it a little bit because we want to get these people housed.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, it does make next few meetings are going to be very productive, I think. So thank you very much. So we'll leave that as discussion, and then look forward to the next meeting for further conversation around that. So next up, again, Co-Chair Harrell and I are both introducing a resolution to create a Labor Relations Special Committee. This is Resolution 2025-11. So folks should have had this in their packets, and I know we've discussed previously a little bit around this. I believe Sophia is going to join, but I don't see her in this space in case we had some legal questions. But the purpose of establishing this committee is so that we can make sure that we have, based on the ILA, the appropriate parameters for labor negotiations and bargaining, and providing informed recommendations to the governing board and giving the governing board that opportunity to approve those parameters around the labor agreements as KCRHA. The current agreement with Local 17 professional and technical employees is valid through December 31st, 2025. So they're in the process now of the next agreement. So I don't know, Mayor Harrell, if you would want to share any more about our labor motion before we ask for questions.
Nope, I think it's sort of straightforward, and it should help us really help the administration, help the employees, and I just think it's good policy to have.
Gives people an opportunity to be on a committee. Does anybody have any other questions about our resolution to create a special committee to consult on labor relations? All right, then do I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-11?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, thank you, Mayor Backus. It's been moved and seconded. Affion, will you please call the roll?
Certainly, Chair.
For votes.
Member Braddock,
Aye.
Member Braun.
Aye. Aye.
Member Balducci, Member Aviva,
Aye.
Member Juarez,
Aye.
Member Nelson,
Aye.
Member Harrell,
Aye.
Member Bracken.
Aye.
Member Bernie is absent. Member Prince is absent. Member Backus
Here, aye.
and Member Hay.
Aye.
Chair, resolution 2025-11 has passed with 9 ayes and no nays.
Thank you, Affion. One thing I do feel I should call folks' attention to is I believe our motion does call for having committee members recommended by September 30th, which is indeed next Tuesday. So I hope y'all will think about that this weekend, and we'll get moving on that as quickly as possible. So resolution 2025-11 is approved. Okay, our final item on the agenda today is committee updates by our Continuum of Care co-chairs, Dorsal Plants and Ruby Romero. Thank you for being here, Dorsal and Ruby, and let me pass it off to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Co-Chair Braddock. Appreciate that. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Thank you so much. It's good to be back with you, Governing Board. I think I see a new face or two, so we can start quickly with introductions. Hi, I'm Ruby Tuesday Romero, the co-chair of the Continuum of Care Board. I use she, they pronouns, and I have been a lifelong resident of King County, including many years experiencing homelessness. Dorsal?
Good afternoon. My name is Dorsal Plants. I use he, his pronouns, and I am the other co-chair of the Continuum of Care Board, who also has lived experience, but I'm also bringing over 16 years of experience as a provider of homeless services here in Seattle, King County.
Great. Thanks, Dorsal. Originally, we were going to focus on how we apply for the grant and how we decide to fund programs. But with the federal landscape as it is, it's changing rapidly. So we thought it'd be better to focus on the responsibilities according to the program rule, which isn't as subjected to executive orders. Next slide. Thank you. We are going to cover the responsibilities of the Continuum of Care per the program rule. Then we'll move into how we operationalize some of those responsibilities through our committees, in particular the System Performance Committee and Coordinated Entry Committee. We're also going to talk about some of the work they're doing there. And we did leave some time for questions. However, I don't want to cut too much more into the weekend hours. So, but we did leave some time. So next slide, please. Great. So starting again with a quick refresher on the purpose of the Continuum of Care program. The main reason of the program is to convene those who are committed to ending homelessness within a region, including as many aspects of the homelessness system as we can. That means ones like hospitals and shelters, which are obvious, but also non-obvious ones like the laundromat, which is very much still a part of the system. that means anybody can join the COC. And right now we have just under 300 organizations and individuals that are committed. The most important purpose is to minimize the harm that people and families experience while moving through the system. I believe that our commitment to end homelessness is also the commitment to not perpetuate the problem. Next slide, please. The COC program is a vast wonderland of requirements and reporting, and this is an overview of those operations. The membership, board, and the staff of the collaborative applicant, HMIS lead, and coordinated entry manager work together to complete. COC planning has additional responsibilities like coordinating services such as outreach, shelter, and housing, and the point time count or PIC, and the housing inventory count or HIC. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is a diagram that kind of shows the requirements of operating a continuum of care. These have consist of 9 things, and the only one that's not represented on this diagram is the requirement to establish a board that represents the continuum membership. As a whole, we are required to make a public invitation to join the COC and host 2 convenings of the entire membership. We prefer in person because that helps us build better relationships and better partnerships, but we do allow for hybrid. We administer required trainings, and we do board member elections, as well as approve of our governance documents. The membership maintains oversight throughout its boards and committees and work groups. Next slide, please. I lied. We need to go back one more slide. I apologize. It was the break in my my script there. I'm so sorry. Currently, we are in the process of reviewing and revising the charter, which is another requirement, and it's much needed. So I'm looking forward to getting some input on that from you guys as well, as the board of our collaborative applicant, to ensure alignment with the recent revisions of the ILA. And for the more technical side of our operations, there are setting local performance targets, establishing policy and procedure, and designing the coordinated assessment process. Thank you so much. Now we can go to the next slide. This is the visual representation of our committees and work groups that are responsible for executing the work of the COC. Our work groups and committees need to be established in the charter, and the 2 committees that are highlighted are the ones we're going to focus on today. Next slide, please. All right, so this is the fun stuff. Our responsibility to design and operate a homeless management information system is important for many reasons, such as minimizing duplication of services and following outcomes to better understand exits out of homelessness. If you ask me, there's as many exits out of homelessness as there are people experiencing it. So it's important to follow those stories. The HMIS system is called Clarity here, and I'm sure you know that. It's overseen by the System Performance Committee and is administered by BitFocus. BitFocus has been present in a lot of our meetings and are active partners in communicating the work that we're doing. They often offer how many people are using the system monthly, and that's important to know how many hands we have in the project. And it's a lot of people that are working to help get people off the street. So it also helps us, HMIS also helps us submit reports to HUD and conduct reports needed to apply for and receive COC and NDS2 funding. And that's what these reports are here on the slide. And although COC funds pay for HMIS, the data it provides is used in many different ways, such as in the media or in any conversation really surrounding homelessness where data is needed. Next slide. Great. So these are the system performance measures as established by HUD. These metrics are measured against the previous years for that COC to track their progress. It's not measured against other COCs, meaning here in Seattle-King County, we compare our scores to the previous years that we've had and to that current year, instead of comparing us to other continuums in the region or in the nation, excuse me. Some of the measures that are multifaceted, and the data we collect tells a story to seek to quantify the experience of homelessness, to communicate that to governments and the housed population. In our requirements for planning, we are able to implement local metrics that we think are necessary for our locality. I'm going to turn it over to Dorsal to talk more about some of those.
Thank you, Ruby. You know, as you can see from the system performance measures here, they're very rooted much in the moving of someone into a home. But as those of us who have lived this experience or who this work know, simply giving someone a key isn't the end of the story. There's more to a home than just four walls and a roof. Next slide, please. The reality is that unfortunately, not everyone gets a fair shot at well-being. And to change that, we really need to understand what it is and how to design for the well-being of an individual. This enables us to build true resiliency, dignity, and long-term stability for our household. And our system then provides more than just those four walls. It actually creates a home. At its core, a truly data-driven and trauma-informed model focuses on individuals' long-term well-being to promote successful housing outcomes. The System Performance Committee has begun to explore new ways to measure success beyond simply placing someone in a house. Our current system prioritizes oftentimes short-term responses like shelter or rapid rehousing, which often come at the expense of operationalizing long-term sustainable structural change. This is a problem because things that truly build stability, things that we know that we seek in our own homes, belonging, purpose, family connection, are not being adequately tracked as we're moving people into buildings. And so one solution to that the System Performance Committee is considering is what's known as the well-being framework, which uses 5 key domains that you can see here listed on the slide to establish a data-driven understanding of housing stability. This framework measures elements that look at things such as a sense of safety. Do you feel like your kids can actually play in the neighborhood? Because you might not want to stay where they can't be safe. Does it enable people to have a sense of belonging? Like they are part of Auburn, they are part of Kent, they are part of Seattle, not just someone who's been placed in an area here in King County. And have we provided them the resources necessary to weather further challenges without the risk of returning to homelessness? If we can ensure providers are working with individuals to build this sense of well-being, we'll be able to see a true sense of housing and community stability from the people that we're serving, transitioning from the street into a home. Next slide, please. Of course, just like that home that we're talking about, one of the most important elements of it is the front door. How do you get inside? And that is where the Coordinated Entry Committee comes in. The Coordinated Entry Committee is a critical component of the COC because it ensures a fair and effective process for people experiencing homelessness to access housing and services. Its importance lies in creating a centralized system that eliminates the need for individuals to navigate multiple agencies and resources on their own. Instead of having to visit multiple shelter locations or multiple service providers, you're able to have a one-stop connection, one point of access that is able to get you into the system and begin directing you to the resources that you need. The Coordinated Entry Committee establishes the policies that help determine how individuals are prioritized for services and are ensuring that the most vulnerable are being connected to resources first. I can tell you as a former provider that one of the most difficult challenges is the simple fact that there aren't enough resources. And how do you decide who gets what resource is available? This creates an immense amount of pressure on service providers and those of us doing the work. And it often feels like we're making impossible decisions. Who gets on the lifeboat and who doesn't get on the lifeboat? And having a strong, effective Coordinated Entry Committee that is establishing effective policies is one of the best ways to kind of deal with that stress and that constant challenge. And so that is why, as you can see here listed on this slide, the Coordinated Entry Committee is currently piloting a new assessment system, hoping to improve the way that. Sorry, I got this.
You're back already. Great.
Yes. Back in 2021, the Coordinated Entry Committee.
Oh man, really doesn't want him to get out that bit about the Coordinated Entry Committee. Hopefully he'll come back on. I do not have his notes. I apologize.
That's all right, Ruby. I'm sure he'll be able to get back in this space. Oh, there you are. All right, Dorsal.
Sorry about
Charm.
Sorry about that. I'll talk quicker. Back in 2021, we stopped using what was called the VI SPDAT assessment system. Basically, this was a form that I, as a provider, would sit down with an individual and go through, and we would use that to determine what services or support they needed. There were some advantages to that particular assessment system, but it really didn't seem to fit the unique needs here in Seattle, King County. And so we stopped using that. And so currently the Coordinated Entry Committee is going through a couple of different assessment systems, trying to determine what would work best for our community here in King County. In addition to not just looking at the forms, they're also actually testing them and the tabling conferencing to actually see in a real world experience how we can best assess the needs of the people we're serving and get them connected to services as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. So ultimately, it is the Coordinated Entry Committee which works to ensure that those limited resources are being fairly distributed and that we are identifying the people who are most vulnerable and moving them towards safety and stability. At the same time, they are working and are committed to creating as many opportunities as possible for everyone who is waiting for the support they need. But the need is just great, as you all know here. It's a significant challenge, but we are dedicated to continually improving our system and connecting people with the right services that truly move them from the street to stability. And I really look forward to being able to come back here in the near future and report on the assessment system that our Coordinated Entry Committee has moved forward with, and continuing to work with you all as we partner to improve our system. We will be happy move to the next slide, and we're happy to take any questions, although recognizing that it is 6 p.m. out of what has been, I'm sure, a busy week for you all. You know, Ruby and I are always happy to take your questions by email as well.
Thank you, Dorsal. Real quick, I do want to ask, and I just might have missed this. Do you know what the timeline is for that assessment and the committee doing their work?
I don't have the exact timeline currently, but I can get that information to you.
Yeah, I'm curious. That's a very interesting, I appreciate hearing about that.
I can
Okay,
chime in.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, Chair Braddock. This is Jeff Sims. I'm Chief Program Officer at KCRJ. So they are currently at the stage where they're looking at the various assessment tools around the pilot first. Once that work is more thoroughly completed, then they'll implement that, which will probably be a period of a few months. So I wouldn't anticipate anything extremely soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I see Board Member Nelson has a hand up. Board Member Nelson?
I'll make this quick. I am interested in knowing to what extent recovery is contemplated in the new coordinated entry assessment and charter provisions. Simply because Ruby, she noted the nexus with the ILA, and the ILA does have new language. It says the authority shall be guided by Housing First and other approaches consistent with research, best practices, and innovation, and that address the individual needs of those experiencing homelessness, including but not limited to comprehensive substance use disorder treatment, recovery housing, and behavioral health services. So it's an element that I didn't hear mentioned in this presentation, and thank you for that. And perhaps we can talk offline, or you can answer my question later. Thanks.
Do you want to take it, Dorsal, or I could?
I'm happy to at least share, at least previously having worked as an assessor, chemical dependency was definitely one of the criteria that we used in our assessment, especially because there are services that you can only access if you are identified clinically as having chemical dependency. I will say, you know, it's been a couple of years now since I've been doing direct service, since haven't been doing it since 2022, but those services do tend to be more in demand than available in my experience. Having served as a chemical dependency screener, I had a lot of people asking for those services, and we could not make those referrals. So we put it on the form, but it didn't necessarily translate into a service match because the service wasn't there yet.
Yeah, and just quickly to address that, although recovery is very important, I don't think it's technically part of our provision, like it's part of our program necessarily. I'm happy to work with the governing board and see how we can work that in, because I definitely want to make sure that we're covering every aspect that we need.
Great. Thank you, Ruby. I believe Board Member Bracken was next.
I am, and I also have a toddler that is like messing with me right now, so I apologize for that noise in the background. I was on a similar train of thought as Board Member Nelson, and I do appreciate that gets very complicated in this space of housing and substance use disorders and mental health disorders, and you know, I've been having a lot of conversations in my own personal work around like connecting all of those resources and what that looks like for us as a city and a county, so that we can get to a point where, you know, housing is being addressed, but the substance use disorder and the mental health, crisis that we're having are also easily accessible. As somebody with lived experience, I know how hard it is to access one service provider, but then to have to go on this road kind of on your own, I would love to be included in that conversation with you guys and Councilmember Nelson, and just to see how we can hopefully connect the dots here.
Yeah, and there are smaller services scattered about that might not be on your list, like, you know, battlefield addiction, etc. So to be continued.
Yes, that would be great. I look forward to that conversation. I'm always looking for new resources to offer to people and learn about. Yeah, so that'd be great. And I'd love to connect with the lived experience representation on the board as well. So anytime we can reach out to each other and work together, that would be great.
Thank you. All right, Board Member Barone.
Well, I just have a very quick comment, which is just to thank the members of the COC board and Ruby and Dorsal, not only for the presentation today, but just for the work that you're all doing. Very important. I feel like sometimes we're working on kind of parallel track on these boards, but I think this opportunity for us to learn more about your work is super important. And please convey my gratitude and our gratitude. I think I speak for the full board and our gratitude for the work that you're all doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Aviva.
I also want to express gratitude, and I would like to just elevate something that you were talking about, Dorsal, with the well-being metric development that you were working on. I had a chance about a month ago to really look through that resource, and I would like to recommend to Dr. Kinnison that she consider that in that analysis of the municipalities, because we know that while housing is a technical solution, we also have to look at adaptive ways in which to build community and belonging, to keep people housed and to keep them as vital members of our community.
Great, thank you. Board Member Backus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to share my appreciation as well. And I also have the opportunity to work with Dorsal on the SKIP, or South King Housing and Homeless Partners organization, and truly appreciate the work that he does on behalf of the unsheltered in our communities. And Ruby as well. Thank you, Ruby.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, what an excellent presentation. Very much appreciate you both being here today. And I'll express my appreciation to the rest of the board for being here at the special meeting time. So thanks to all of you, everyone, for making the time today. So this does bring us to the end of today's meeting. I don't see any other hands. Is there a motion and a second to adjourn?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
And there we have it. Any objections? No?
No.
All right.
No, Mayor Backus looks like she wants to hang around for a while.
You and me,
No.
Deborah, you and
No,
me.
yeah. Yeah, we gotta go have our wine hour. I'll come down to Auburn, girl. I got you.
This
Got it.
meeting is adjourned.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Sure.
Thank you.
Bye.